All right, if we can have everybody's attention, we'll get started. I know some people are still coming in. If you haven't signed the sign-in sheet, please do it. You can do it before you leave. It's for insurance purposes and for the library, so they know how many people are here. So we appreciate you doing that. My name is Kevin Black. I'm the president of the NWA, the new president. And taking over from Jerry. Jerry's still here, and I want to thank Jerry for all he's done over the past couple of years. He's really helped to move the organization forward and continue to bring a lot of valuable information to us and engagement. And as Jerry said, he's not going away, and you can tell he's right here. So, and he's actually going to be presenting in a little bit. So a project that he's been working on for a while. Around the UEP and some exciting things that are coming with that. As always, before we get started, I'm going to ask everybody if we can go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to keep the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball.
Yeah, baby.
All right, thank you. So we have a pretty jam-packed agenda tonight. We're going to try to keep things moving. We have Councilman Long who's joining us tonight. We appreciate him taking the time to come out and talk to us and answer some questions. He's actually just ran from the youth council meeting, so he abandoned the kids to come here and see us. So we're going to give you a quick update on Golf Gateway, Seven Islands. That's probably top of mind for a lot of folks in the room. We're going to talk a little bit about the Burnt Store District, or BURST as it's known. It's in front of council right now. Some decisions are being made about that. So we thought we'd bring that information to you, and Keith will be able to provide a little bit more color to that later on. And then we're going to talk about the medians and some things that are going to happen, and Jerry's going to step up here, and it's really ties into the UEP that's coming, UEP 3, sometime I guess in 2027. Early 2028, but I think it's pretty exciting what the city's considering doing with the medians. And then we'll go through the committee updates from each of the committee members. I've been asked Ray Mule, there he is, to join us from the Northern Voters Alliance and talk a little bit about what his organization is doing in conjunction with ours in terms of the North Cut, which I think many of us would love to see sooner than later. See, I got a lot of head nods on that one. So, it's always good to get head nods when you put the agenda up for a meeting. And then we're going to have Keith come up and talk about a few things and answer any questions, okay? Sound good? Yeah. Right. Sorry, we are out of chairs. I'm sorry. There's one chair right here. If there's chairs so that somebody wants to sit, if there's any, you can raise your hand, but it looks like we're pretty tight.
That's a good thing.
You take one.
Okay, Seven Islands. We showed these renderings. These are the most updated renderings from Golf Gateway and Marina Village. We had these at our social in November, December of last year. We thought we'd bring them back and show you all kind of where the project is, or what the project is going to look like in the future. They're still waiting on a couple things to get started, not least of which is, like a lot of other things here in the Cape, a permit. And so we probably all know about that. But as you can see, this is sort of this is islands 6 and 7, right? I think that goes north, south to north. You can kind of see what they're doing there, putting a lagoon pool in, which looks like it's going to be pretty nice. Fish houses along Old Burnt Store Road, and then you'll make your way over towards, this goes back over to Island number 1, whoops. And you can see the buildings that are there, more fish houses along Old Burnt Store Road. And I believe this is, right here, this is the final rendering. They're pretty close to the final renderings. Yeah, everything's subject to change, but I think it's pretty much to the final. And there's everybody can go down here, hang by the lagoon pool. Looks pretty exciting. We've asked them to put some golf cart parking in, and we'll ask the city if they can legalize golf carts without registering. We can all drive our golf carts to Marina Village. So I just put that out there. If anybody's here from the city, because I bought a golf cart, so I got to use it. And it just makes getting home easier late at night. Anyway. So pretty exciting in terms of what they're planning on doing, and I don't have the timeline on what the exact breaking ground would be. Obviously, it depends a lot on some different factors, including the permitting But they're ready. I can tell you they're ready. We've had an opportunity to sit down with them, and they're ready to go sooner than later. And here's just a big picture of what it's going to look like. They will have docks along the canal, and we talk about a cut, and they talk about a cut too, as well as dredging. And I think we'll have a little bit update later from Keith on the dredging that will be going on by Michelli's and out that way. So that's it for the quick update on Seven Islands. As they get closer, we'll ask them to come in and really provide us the real update down the road versus myself giving you guys, because they'll have all the facts and the figures and when they'll get going. So pretty exciting. It's one of the many projects, coming towards the Northwest. You look at Coral Grove, you look at this one, you look at the potential around what this project is going to be. I mean, in the years to come, it's going to get pretty busy here. It's been quiet for a while, but it seems to be picking up pace. So the Burnt Store Road District is sort of in the news right now, if you will. It's in front of council. And what it is, it's a district that was developed to promote mixed-use commercial, professional. Basically, it's commercial, right? It's from Van Buren north to the line. It's really the last big tract of land that the city of Cape Coral has that can develop commercial entities on. So it's kind of important if you say, can we get this right and ensure we maximize what commercial things that we do need. And of course, here in the Northwest, I think we'd all agree we're probably a little bit in the desert when it comes to commercial entities here. So it's actually approximately about 1,100 acres, and I think Keith can give you a little more facts on it, but it's really it's an entrance corridor to Cape Coral from the Northwest. And the city has gone through, and they've actually done a really good job in this, and they've actually outlined it so it's going to be consistent landscaping, consistent development, so it all kind of looks the same. It's actually going to look pretty nice. And we've had Walt Daltrey, I think, over a year ago, come in and share some of the slides he had in terms of his vision of what they want to do. But it's not going to be like Del Prado, it's not going to be like Pine Island, it's not going to be like Cape Coral Parkway. So there you have it. Yeah. It's going to be a little bit more controlled and a little bit nicer looking, okay? But it really is, there is a need when you think about it between what's happening here in the Northwest Cape. We had heard the announcement about Hudson Creek coming, right, which is about 3,500 plus commercial, some other things up in that area. And then in Charlotte County, all you have to do is drive across the line, get past that 2-lane stretch of white knuckle driving that still exists in Lee County. You get into Charlotte County and you can see all the developments being built up there. And if you watch the news, they just broke ground again on another 1,700 unit development up there. So they are rapidly building up there. Well, they're driving down here for a lot of their things, right? So there's that stretch that they're driving through. They certainly would welcome some commercial opportunities or commercial entities up there as well. And again, as I said, it's really the city looking at this. This is the ability to do it right. It's just vacant land right now, right? So if they create this district and they put some guidelines around it, they can really make it a wonderful entrance to Cape Coral. And of course, it's in our neighborhood, so it's a good thing as well. And of course, Justin needs the residents. So I'm sure Keith will be able to give a little bit more updates on it down the road. But right now, in front of council is the future land use map amendment that the council has to decide on what they're going to send to the state for approval. And that goes through a process, as you can imagine. So they are evaluating, as you know, there's private property within there, and the city has to evaluate what's going to happen with that private property with those owners, if they would allow them to carve that out for multi-city or some other type of approach. And that's in front of council right now. And then, of course, it's going to require utilities, obviously, to get up there. There are utilities coming down from Charlotte County, but you'd have to bring them up from Cape Coral. We all know, for those of us here that are west of Burnt Store, UEP3 is coming as well. And the city did announce they're speeding up some other areas. And then Hudson Creek is going to do some things to move utilities faster east of Burnt Store. So they will definitely get going at some point. So any questions? You're actually going to ask you, save your questions until the end, because we want to try to get through everything and then get to Keith, and then we can answer questions at the end, all right? And actually, I told you Jerry wasn't going away. Here he comes, making his way up. So he's going to talk about UEP3 and the medians.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Jeff. Let's see. Well, hello, everybody. You know, this is a piece of unfinished business that I was involved in, and everyone remember when we sent out quite a few surveys, thanks to Kathy's command of all of the tools and internet tools that we have, to the point of where you can actually pick what kind of dinner you want. So she can really narrow it down. But you know, this is really closure for me. It's one of the last things. The reason why there's probably so many people here is our last two meetings were destroyed by a hurricane and a pipe break in here, so we couldn't get together. So it is really good to see everybody. But if you recall, we collectively as a group, when we surveyed everybody, we came together and we said, when we go through Tropicana, when we go through the UEP and look at the parkways associated with that, I think the city really drove this project, and the city manager's office in economic development, they have plans to redevelop Tropicana Parkway. You go to Yucatan and Gulfstream, starting there, bringing utilities from Burnt Store Road all the way through into the neighborhoods. What's really interesting about this is, I don't know how many people have been here since 2015, 2016, maybe show of hands. How many people have lived here then? So, you know, I don't know, maybe 40%? Everyone else is new, right? So I came here in 2019. But what this is, the city asked us to survey everyone and get an idea of what the medians could look like. So what's funny about this rendering, you see those gray and purple trucks throughout the neighborhoods. They've been doing the design plan for the streets. They've been trying to figure out if they can horizontally drill the utilities into your home. These are things that's going on right now. But what's really interesting about this, two design plan firms, one of them in 2016 when they developed the kind of the Northwest vision and the vision for 7 islands. That engineering plan design came forth with a median rendering almost identical. Here we are a decade later to another engineering firm laying out almost a similar median. The city really likes this. I had a chance to talk to our city arborist, Omar. He really likes this. And I've had discussions with Keith Long about this, and he'll probably touch upon this. When you put traffic in the middle, it's a traffic calming initiative where you're kind of funneling the traffic rather than spreading it apart, where it's almost like a rip-roaring parkway. So if you own, it's kind of hard for me at this point. Why don't I just use the pointer? So if you own a home, let's say on Tropicana Parkway or Gulfstream or Yucatan, your front yard with this design is going to be pretty long extension to the roadway. So I think it'll really benefit those people who live on those roads. You're going to have a great lawn. You're also going to have bike paths. You're also going to have pedestrian walkways on each side. You're going to have direct traffic either way. When you come down at the corner here at Tropicana and you hang the left and you head west, you'll notice that Tropicana is 2 lanes on each side. It's 4 lanes. It goes down to 2 when you get to Burnt Store Road. And this was probably overall designed this way to be more of a park-like setting as you get toward the spreader. So this is something that we all kind of agree on, and this was the design plan from 2016. So very similar, but what I like about this concept, it shows you kind of 3-dimensional what it would look like. And you can see the difficulty now for speed. It's very difficult. You have this tree line. Your visual when you're in a car driving is going to slow you down. It's part of the Main Street initiative. But if you go back, this was the rendering. So you have a greenway here of 23 feet. And in the original plan design, it was similar. It looked about 33 feet. But I just wanted to share that with everyone here. We did a lot of work on this. What we did not want to happen is we go through the UEP and leave the medians the way they look like now. We wanted to add trees, and I got to tell you, we really, as it really worked collectively as a group. I want to thank everyone here. the city manager's office. But it's funny how things change and things don't. A decade apart, two engineering firms coming in the same rendering. It's very, very, very interesting. So I think we'll open that up to Keith a little bit later. I'll get off, save some time, and back to you, Dev.
Pretty exciting, right? Once the UEP comes through, complete changes coming. So at this point, we'll turn it over to our committee chairman to give you an update from each one of their areas. And we'll start off with Grady. You going to come up and talk about UEP? Probably nobody cares about it anyway. UEP.
Well, there's been some changes in UAP, especially in UEP 3. Turned out that the city council decided when they did UEP 1 that the area was so large they needed to divide it up into two constructions or two different projects in order to keep from closing all the roads in the North 1 area. And when they've done that, that's kind of pushed the whole schedule back a little bit. Right now, the UEP West construction started in 2003, UEP 1, and then UEP 1 East is designed 75% complete, with construction starting in late 2025. That's the UEP 1. They also made the decision at that point in time that they didn't want to put another UEP 3 or have UEP 3 start until these two UEPs were complete. So construction in UEP 1 East is not starting until 2025 and ending in 2027. It looks like UEP 3 won't start in our area until sometime in early 2027 or maybe even a little bit later, because most of these dates keep sliding. Right now, there is a company that is doing the UEP 3 design, and it's 50% complete. Their contract goes through July, and so we're going to have a good bit of time between that and the actual start of construction in 2027. And they're saying that UEP 3 will be a 2-year project also, so 2027 to 2029. That'll be the period. Any questions? Yeah.
UEP 6, wasn't that put in front of it of 3?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any information on UEP 6 yet.
I heard the wells was on dry.
Yeah, they did move some.
But I think it's moved.
No, I don't think there's been much change in that. UEP 3 is going to be next after UEP 1 finishes. The only other thing that I would say is that UEP 3, the area for that is about 85% of what UEP 1 was. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't take UEP 3 and put it into 2 different contracts too, just because it's such a big area and there's over 3,000 homes in that area. Yeah.
When is what is UEP 6 scheduled? It was 2030 the last time I had seen.
Yeah,
They moved
I
it.
can look it up. I'm not, honestly,
that up.
don't focus on UEP 6, but let me see what they say here.
That's correct. They have the recent map, so I'll bring it to you.
No, I got it, it's right here.
Sir, keep going. I can handle that when we get there.
Yeah, let's wait until we get to the.
Yeah, I got this thing, yeah.
We can talk about UEP, because Keith's gonna have
Yeah, more information.
more information. Yeah.
Could you clarify which UEPs would have to be completed before the whole first commercial zone starts on Burnstone Road?
I don't have any information on that, I'm sorry, maybe
Keith
Keith
might be able to, yeah, we can talk about UEP a little bit more when Keith comes up. He's gonna have a little more insight in what we have on it.
Okay.
I have a question that
Yeah.
I'd like to ask before the councilman gets up there is, who is it with the city that's coordinating with these contractors doing these projects live up by Chiquita and Kismet up there, and to see them have Kismet tore up coming in from the only way to get to my place, and Diplomat as a backup is ripped up as well, is not serving me very well. That I certainly think that somebody with the city should be coordinating with these people so my voice is heard.
Understood. Absolutely.
Understood.
We can take that back.
Okay. And I hope the councilman will
Yep.
address it. Thanks.
All right. So Ed's gonna give you an update on parks. It's the year of the parks.
What did you up?
All right, so very quickly, if you didn't get already, everybody should have got a flyer, matter of fact, from the city. There was like this winter update, and it had a lot of the parks in there and water and all that stuff, so this'll be exactly. This will be exactly like what was in the flyer that you just got from the city. It's the same information. In case you forget this, you'll have that in your mail if you don't already. I just got mine the other day. So Crystal Lake update is 35% complete, and it's anticipated full completion by April of '25. Festival Park, groundbreaking was July of '24. It's under construction about 25% currently, and anticipated completion in October of '25. So that's why he's telling you the year of the parks. A lot of them are supposed to be complete by the end of the year. Tropicana, we had a groundbreaking in November of last year, and the construction award was in October, and you see they've already started. There's a fence around it now, they're moving dirt, they're making a beach, and everything else. So that's already well underway, and anticipated start or finish by 2025 late or even early 26. But the contractor said at groundbreaking, we're going to try to get done early. He made a fact of that. So we'll see. This is something that just started by the city. It's called the Cape Coral Parks and Recreation Strategic Master Plan. They have a survey on the website, so I urge everybody to go to the city website, and you could put your information in, and you could tell them what you think about the future of the parks in the city. So they're looking for all citizens' input on this master plan. They had a kickoff meeting, that's the one I went to in January, the end of January. And then the future meetings are gonna be as you see there, a needs assessment findings meeting. And it's scheduled in June. They don't have an exact location yet, but it will be put out on the city website. The same way with the next one, which is your technical findings in October. And again, they'll notify it through the city website on location. Urge everybody to go to them. They're interesting, and they give you a lot more information than we could give you right from the people that are doing the planning. And then, of course, the link is again on the city website for the survey, the mapping activity, and vision board. That's all on the city website. A little bit on environment. We talked about medians, but this one happens to be Ember's median, which is between Old Burnt Store and Burnt Store. A little behind schedule. I say that with a grain of salt. That was supposed to almost be done by now, but they're still about to break ground on the infrastructure part, which means tearing out some of the cross areas of blacktop and putting curbing in, and then you got the landscaping come in right after that. So they're supposed to start again this spring with the curbing and all the mechanical issues going through there with heavier equipment, and come in and do the actual landscaping after that. Then we talked a little bit already about the other medians close to where we live is going to be tied in with the UAP when it comes to the north area there, the UAP 3. And then the next slide is going to show you what the city currently has as a 5-year plan for medians. And then, of course, you could always do an Adopt a Median. That's a program that the city supports to be able to actually, like a group or an organization, to adopt a median that aren't going to be done by. And here's the the draft of that 5-year plan, so you could kind of look at the color coding and see what's going on. So this is the one. Right in there is the one that it should be started like this spring. That lime green area right there. And the purple one will be more tied into the UAP design that they showed you. We have an upcoming event that everybody if you want to participate, we do it every year, Clean the Cape. That's going to be on March 29th, 8 to 10. You meet at the Serena Vista Park. There'll be all the supplies you need, trash bags, and all the stuff that you need to pick up the trash with, and then have dumpsters there to throw it back in when you're done with your little area. And afterwards, they supply pizza. So when you come back, you have a slice of pizza. The sign-up bulletin will be on our website, the Northwest website, soon to sign up for it if you're going to participate. The other proposed activities that we're promoting is Adopt a Spot, Adopt a Road, and Adopt a Shore. Maybe a Master Gardeners class, if anybody's interested. We had one last year and it was a good turnout. And these two issues or ideas of what they want to bring up is the butterfly gardening and the rain barrel workshop. That's different than what we did last year, so it's not going to be the same. It's going to be a different program that they're going to try to work on. And of course, they're going to survey if you want to come, and if enough people sign up, then they'll organize to have it. That's it.
See, they made it easy for me to figure out when to come up. Good. Okay, so my first slide is
Use the mic.
okay. So my first slide is it's basically for a cult group. There's a whole group of people in Cape Coral and in the NWNA that just love this restaurant. If you're from the Midwest, Upper Midwest, you're gonna like this because. Okay, wait a minute.
Fuck you.
Okay, so there's a Portillo's, which I understand has Portillo's.
Way to go, John.
I must have been giving you the Texas version. I don't know. So okay, so Portillo's. Anyway, okay. So the best hot dogs in the world is what I hear. Chicago beef sandwiches. The food's so good you won't want to leave. That's what I hear. And it's coming. It's in the planning stages. No permits yet, but they're talking to the city about it. And it should be on the east side of Sam's Club. So we'll see. But there you go, Portillo's. So a lot of people are going to be happy. And that's one less thing you'll see on Next Door Neighbor when they talk about, oh, what's coming. I wish it. Okay. Now, if you've been up and down Burnt Store Road, you notice that they cleared some land between the Burnt Store boat ramp and the condos there, Blue Water Vista. Okay? And this is what it's going to look like. Shadrow Lake Resort and Marina Airbnb. You can see the seawall and the boat slips. It's 7 stories, 48 apartment style units. And it's an Airbnb pool with the bar, restaurant, and docks for people staying there, and there'll be some docks for people to tie up and hit the bar. Yes. There's another version of it. You can see how it's going to look from the water. On the Burnt Store side, on the Burnt Store roadside, there will be on the Burnt Store roadside there'll be a 2-story building with offices and retail, things like that. So so that you won't miss that when you drive down Burnt Store. And if you think about it, it's a resort, right? Shadrow Lake Resort and Marina. You have the RV resort just up the road, and then you're going to have the Gulf Gateway Resort and Marina on the 7 Islands. So that's 3 resorts in a couple mile area in the northwest. So if you've been here any length of time, you probably would have never thought that would happen, but, so we'll see what comes up next. And so, if you drive by, you'll see the construction company. They have their colors out there, Coran and Young, build all kinds of stuff. And so you see that, and I got to thinking. I said, well, that project on the Veterans and Veterans and Pine Island Road on the southwest side, where the Cuban shop used to be and the beauty salon. I said, I haven't heard anything on that. And I drove down that way and I saw a Coran and Young sign. So, the construction company's putting their colors out there, which tells me that they may be there pretty soon to do something, infrastructure or something. So I haven't heard anything's imminent, but sometimes you could tell just by simple things like that. And what I did do was go online, and after a couple of years couldn't find anything on this other than the drawings we had in the beginning. So this is what it's going to look like. And you can see that up here is right here is a hotel. Okay, that's a hotel. 2 commercial buildings in the front. First one will have like 6 or 7 units inside. The other one will be just one big building. So no idea what it's going to be, and it could change, but that's the layout. You see right here with the medium strip, that's Veterans, and then Pine Island Road heading into Matlacha. So they're going to build the first phase of apartments first, and it's like 316, and then another 300 and something. I think it's going to be a total of 644 apartments, hotel, commercial.
That's west. Oh, that little two-lane road into Matlacha. I can't handle any traffic right now.
Okay, so if you look, it's hard to see. Right in here is an access road, commercial, and then the apartments. There's an access road which goes to a Veterans from Pine Island.
That's helpful.
It could help alleviate some traffic at the lake. So who knows? Anyway, they're heading in the right direction. So hopefully something happens there, because that's going to be a big thing in our area. So, and if you've driven down Embers, and before you get to Nelson, you see this huge area that is being cleared south of the Stonewater project, just north of Embers, and that's Embers Lakes Apartments, and they've been in permitting forever. And then it's just like they fell off the face of the earth. We did have a video on our website. It's still there if you want to see what it's going to look like. It's going to look pretty good. And then one day, you just saw bulldozers out there tearing everything up. And like a month later, it's cleared. There's tons of dirt in there. So they're going, they're working really hard. So, once they get their permits and they put their mind to it, things happen. So you'll see that. You'll see that. It was supposed to be 1,300 apartments. I don't know if it's going to be that many, but that's what it was planned for. So we'll see.
All these apartments out there right now.
Where's the infrastructure to carry all the traffic that this is gonna bring in?
I'm just telling you what's out there.
Do you know?
Okay, so
Do you know the Shad Marina project is including fuel docks?
the shed is including.
Shad Marina project.
Is it
Is
including?
including fuel docks.
Oh, it wasn't. Fuel docks were in the plan, but I didn't see it. So I don't know if they got rid. The city said no, or if it's still there.
No.
No. Okay, so it's cool. Okay.
Now, DEP shut that down because of the traffic it was generating.
Okay, so last we have Hudson Creek, right? Y'all heard about that on the news, I'm sure. D.R. Horton purchased the project for $100 million. It's done by GA Pinnacle out of Fort Lauderdale. They got everything approved and then didn't do anything but put it up for sale. So D.R. Horton purchased it. Oh man, come on. Okay. It's east of Burnt Store Road from about Jacaranda, goes down to Wilmington, over to Chiquita, and then kind of meanders up to the basically the RV park. So if you go online, you can see what it's going to look like, but it's kind of zigzags. But anyway, the bottom line is 1,732 acres, right? 2,500 single-family homes, 1,000 apartments, retail. The retail will be about the size of half of the Edison Mall over in Fort Myers. Offices, a university with up to about 3,000 students, a hotel, and an 800-bed senior care facility. That's pretty good. She's that over here. So, now how much of that stays? I think a lot of it, D.R. Horton talks about it all being there. So, and if you've looked around the area and you've been over to like North Fort Myers, Port Charlotte, and just different places throughout the country, D.R. Horton and Lennar are like in a race to just build as many homes as they can. So they're going to follow through for sure. They requested permits about a couple months ago for land clearing and fill. I think it's about 817 acres for building, and then 700 and some acres for lake and woodlands and things like that, walking trails.
John, we gotta move.
Yeah.
There we go.
John, we gotta move forward.
Okay, so, okay, they're gonna be doing the utilities, moving the infrastructure up the Burnt Store Road, so that, you know, that'll help move the utilities all the way up to, I think, Calusa Parkway. Okay, and then, if you have any doubt whether or not they're serious, here's an ad that's online already selling single-family homes. I haven't even broke ground yet. So, that's all I got.
Okay.
Super Walmart, if you don't know, we put it out on the newsletter, but it's coming. It's been in permitting for a couple months. So that, the Super Walmart,
Where? Where's it gonna be?
Super Walmart across from Bubba's and the Coral Grove when it comes. Super Walmart on Pine Island Road. It's been in permitting for about 6 months. Continues in the permitting, but so that looks like it's finally going to come through. So, on Pine Island Road. Yep.
I'll be quick.
Hello, my name is Dwayne Schultz and I work with the Waterways, and we're going to be really quick here. So I've explored a couple of different ways to get out. Who in here would like to see a cutout in the Northwest? There you go. I'm done. But no, so anyhow, there is a way out to Two Pines, and this is another way. But it's travel at your own risk. I've explored it twice, and I couldn't get through it either time. Once with a 27-foot boat, and another time with a 23-foot boat. And if Mark Marshall is here, I don't know, me and him did that, and so thanks to Mark, we used his boat the last time. And, but there's rocks in here, you can see, we took pictures because you gotta cut right between them. We went out, obviously, and we were down in a lower tide, because anybody, you can get through here in the summer and high tide, we believe, and some people have did it. But like I said, we're exploring what would have to be, debris would be cleared. It is a Blue Calusa kayak trail, I believe they call it. They are going to, what I hear is when Crystal Lake Park gets done, they're also going to mark this, you know, with signs and that, so you don't get lost out in the islands. But like I said, the biggest thing and why I'm here is because I'm pro cutout myself. But like I said, we did that, went through there. In the summer, I'll go out through there again when we have higher tides, higher waters, because I believe we can get through there. But like I said, it's kind of at your own risk. I know it's out there. There's been a lot of, I get questions every week that they're hearing something's coming off of Gator Slough and there's been a cutout already approved, and I don't think any of that's true. I hate to say that, but we can talk to Councilman Keith. But my main thing, what I'd like to know from Keith, is how do we let the rest of the council know what we want, because they represent the whole city of Cape Coral. We got properties in the southeast, southwest, and the northwest here, and so from my standpoint, the whole council, you know, we need to talk to. And when I've approached them in different areas on different things, they've been very responsive. I don't know about the new council, that was all with the old, but at the same time, I think that's one thing, if we want to get this ever going, because it's gonna be a lot of work and a lot of time to get that done, I believe. So, yeah, you can see some rocks don't have to be moved. The other one was sand, where we ran into sand. We only had about 6-8 inches of clearance, so we didn't go any farther than that. You can see it's very narrow. When we got to the one point, we had to turn around with push poles and stuff, and we were still hitting mangroves. So like I said, I don't really suggest anybody do that, but like I said, it is out there, and there is a video of it on our website with that trail going out, but it will be marked, I believe, when they get Crystal Lake up and running in a couple months. So, thank you.
So the NWNA is not endorsing you going out there. We're not responsible for ripped up props and lower units. Be careful if you want to take the cut. There's rocks. And if you can, pick some up and take them with you. And help a guy out. Speaking of, Dwayne had mentioned the focus on the North Cut, and obviously we saw the overwhelming support for North Cut. We have a group with us tonight with, we could bring Ray up to talk about his group because they're hyper-focused on the North Cut and looking at other alternatives besides the one that Dwayne showed you. So I want them to come up and introduce themselves. And I think you're going to show a little video that you guys put together. It's actually a very good video what they put together. So,
thank you. Hello, hi, I'm Ray Muley, and there you go. Don't want to get yelled at. Ray Muley, I'm with the North Cape Voters Alliance. We started it, just to pick up on the last conversation, we started this back in August of this past year. We were also focused on the cut, which is Reach 1A, as many of you know it. We've been through it a number of times. Again, very risky to do that. We have the boulder issues. You definitely have to watch it seasonally and tidally. It's not something that we recommend doing. But what we were working on at the same time was trying to get the rocks out of there. We actually had a barge lined up. We had a number of things leading up to trying to get that done. To date, we've had to kind of backburner that a little bit, and we've been focusing on more of a longer term plan. One of the things that we're waiting on is the Chiquita lock to be finished. Not only the removal of that, but any other litigation and things that are going on related to that. We want that all wrapped up before we try and proceed with anything else. We have been speaking with many of the council members. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why we started this group was to be hyper-focused on this, and we tried to do that prior to the last election because we made it an effort to meet with every one of the new folks who were running for council and interview them to see who it was that we really wanted to get there, who would back what we're trying to do. So this was the genesis of the whole thing. We have a vision as to where we want to go with it. Again, we're constrained time-wise. Right now, I'd say probably the earliest we'll know when we can move forward with anything else would be towards the end of April and then some before Chiquita's pretty much finished up. I'd say maybe June-ish would be more of a realistic time frame before we could have discussions related to that. But anyway, so that's what we're focused on. We wanted to have a specific group that's dedicated to this issue. We work and we communicate with a lot of other folks with waterways down in the Southwest. We're talking to people up in Punta Gorda. Obviously, we work together with the Northwest Neighborhood Association, but we're hyper-focused on this. So what we'll do is I have a video kind of to show you what our vision is, what we'd really like to see, which then also picks up on parks and what you saw as far as Crystal Lake. Let me show it to you, and I'll be your substitute teacher, so that's all the talking I'll do. Now we'll bring in the TV.
Our members include boaters of all types, from kayakers and rowing crews to offshore and inshore fishermen, to powerboats, jet skiers, and even sailors. Anyone who loves the water.
Our mission is to promote boating in the area in both a safe and environmentally friendly manner. One of our first missions is to address the safety and environmental impact of the growing number of boats on the North Spreader and adjacent dams.
As we've seen over the past few years, there's been many new waterfront properties developed, which has brought a great increase in the number of nautical miles away from the launch.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it on mine. Just for a minute.
Technical difficulties.
Has the state said they would approve this?
I think that's a work in progress with the
Yeah,
state.
Yeah, that's way beyond where we're at.
We are the North Cape Boaters Alliance. Our members include boaters of
All
all
right, technical
types,
difficulties.
kayakers,
Cute, it's somewhere else, it's not hooking up to the.
We'll put his video up on our site.
Yeah, and it's on mine, sorry.
Anyone who loves
Please
the
go to
water.
the North Cape Boaters Alliance Facebook page. All of this is out there, the video is out there. I have a sign-up page at the front. If you please, anybody who wants to learn more, email, phone number, name, and we'll definitely
As
be
we've
in
seen
touch
over
with
the
you.
past few years.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Sorry about that. All right. Hold on, get that.
Traffic in the North Spreader. It's growing.
We good? I think we're good. Hey, Keith.
Yep.
I think you're up. Welcome, and I actually want to welcome Keith for coming tonight. You did really run out of the youth council. You said goodbye, I'm out of here, going to Northwest Neighborhood Association. So thank you.
Hey, good evening. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for having me. It's always great to connect with you guys here, particularly in my district, but especially because it's one of the liveliest neighborhood organizations or community organizations in the city, and certainly the largest by a large margin. So it's always a pleasure and a privilege anytime I get an opportunity to come out. As he said, my name is Keith Long. I am, for better or worse, your district council member here in District 6 in the city of Cape Coral. My term started in 2021, and I was elected back in 2022 to serve through 2026. So I really didn't come here with any particular agenda. A lot of the times I find it's better to not speak at you guys, but with you. That being said, I think we've got a pretty decent agenda here that we went through that I plan on maybe going back a little bit, elaborating on. I know some of you had some points that you wanted to touch on, answering those, and then open it up to a wider slate of topics, to see where that takes us. What I did want to touch on first, and I think we started I kind of plan on going in the order that it was presented, is the burst. I know, in fact, I was here before some of you in this very room about 2 or 3 years ago when I first kind of brought this forward. And the vision then was simple, and it remains the vision, at least in my respect, today. And it was really to identify it as the last remaining really prime commercial corridor in the city, and treating it as such. We have an opportunity to learn from our mistakes. It was mentioned here, some of the larger ones when you talk about the way that Del Prado was designed, Pine Island Road was designed. It was almost like, what did we do wrong, and how can we almost flip that on its head? We have an opportunity here with a blank slate, so to speak, with regards to being able to zone and shape the uses that we would like to see, and essentially reduce the uses that we don't. And so that was the cornerstone. Is we've only got a few commercial parcels of significant size left in the city. A lot of them happen to be in this corridor. How can we implement proper planning and future land use mapping to make sure that those aren't going to be utilized by storage facilities and car washes before the residential density is to a point where you see more of the development that's going to be curtailed by the density now and might be in the future. So what we did is we came in and we said, well, let's talk about how we want to see the potential uses. So again, right out of the gate, what don't we want to see? We don't want to see storage facilities. We don't want to see car washes. At a certain point, they were restricting certain fast food uses, because we really wanted to get to the core of some of these larger properties and develop uses that that the community needs, and also reduces trips on the roadway. So you hear the gentleman before talk about north of the county border. They've for one reason or another, took a completely different approach, and it's very residential heavy. So we've got 10 or 15,000 apartments over the next 10 or 15 years that are going to be north of that county border, and they have nowhere to go but down. And so we almost look at them and say, well, that's one approach, but we wanted to go in the opposite direction. Now, fast forward 2.5 years later, why hasn't anything necessarily changed? There's certain processes that this has to go through. We have to transmit these plans to the state. It has to be passed by council 2 or 3 different times. And so what's happened in the interim is we've had this change in council. And so now the majority of the council coming in, we have a body of 8, and so 5 new members have come in and are now tasked with sort of picking it up at the 11th hour and trying to bring it across the finish line. Of course, everybody has their own opinions on how things should have been done and how we go forward. The main thing right now that council is focused on is we all agree that we want to revitalize that commercial corridor. We want to beautify it. We want to have the most intense landscaping requirements in that particular area. But where we're stalled right now with regards to the majority is, frankly, how much residence, multifamily residential we want to allow in the standalone. And so, if you don't mind going back a few slides to the development services with the gentleman that was showing us the plans for the corner of Burnt Store Road and Veterans, Highland Road and Veterans. So the way that a lot of these larger tracts on Burnt Store Road are situated now and entitled is that they're entitled with a neighborhood commercial zoning density. And so it's very similar. I'm not sure that this is actually neighborhood commercial, but the proportions are the same, and it allows for up to 80% of these sites to be developed with standalone multifamily homes. And so I'm not sure where you all stand on that, but frankly, I don't think we need any more multifamily homes, especially to the scale of something like this.
So true.
Particularly in light of Hudson Creek. That was an easy one. That's low-hanging fruit, right? And so you would think. The hang-up now is with the current council, we were going to pass through a restriction of standalone multifamily completely. So you weren't going to be able to put multifamily in the burst, anywhere inside of the burst, unless it was vertically integrated with commercial uses underneath. And the idea, again, behind that was commercial first. We don't have a lot left. Let's focus on commercial. And now this, with the most recent changes in council, there's been a couple property owners that have come forward now that the new council has a crack at it and have said, hey, we want to be carved out of this. And the idea they want to be carved out is for uses such as this, because the reason why we have so much multifamily is that's what makes the most money, okay? And so that's where we're at now. There was a split last time that prevented this from moving forward and being transmitted to the state because a lot of the council wanted to retain those rights to those developers to allow multifamily. I was the sole exception. And so what I'm trying to do moving forward is limit that. I think they want to try to find a happy medium where we're in a position to allow frontage, the first 1,000 feet, for example, of commercial, and then multifamily in the back. You know, to me, that's still not something that's acceptable, but I'm only one of 8. And so we move as a body. So I would encourage you all, with just that little synopsis, to maybe look into it a little further, be more vigilant of those meetings as they come up, and maybe engage with your council members, my counterparts on the board, and let them know where you stand, particularly with regards to the multifamily component. So again, as it stands, the way that it's going to be transmitted, or if it's not transmitted, 80% of each one of those sites. So some of those sites are 300 acres and plus. So we're talking about thousands of additional units that not only are going to increase and clog the roadways, but are going to take away from essential commercial needs that I feel strongly we have to help preserve as we move forward. One other thing, as it relates to the burst, is Hudson Creek. Comes up a lot. I heard a lot of people groan when that came online, because it's a lot of doors. The site itself was entitled for the density, so there wasn't much that we could do there with regards to allowing the residential uses on that site. One thing that we did do that you don't hear a lot about in the news, and it helps when you talk about burst, because I did this in conjunction with burst, is we negotiated with them with regards to their development agreement and how that was all going to be platted out, that they were going to be responsible for bringing the infrastructure to stretch the utilities. We talked about UEP, and I'll touch on that in a minute, northward from the existing stop point, which is much farther down Burnt Store Road, all the way up to their site. They were going to bear the burden of the infrastructure, the spine, so to speak, of that utilities. Otherwise, it was much cheaper, much quicker for them to tap in through the backside through Chiquita and run it through the development. And so the benefit that we get as a city, especially in conjunction with the burst, is that it was going to liven or activate that commercial corridor when you bring utilities, because you can't have commercial without utilities. There's no water. Was going to activate that commercial corridor far north of where it currently stands with the city schedule, which we'll touch on. you know, in some cases decades before it otherwise was gonna be there. So the commercial came online. So that came to the tune of Hudson Creek. It's gonna cost them about $25 million to do that. And what it's gonna do in the future is it's gonna allow the UEPs in the future northward to benefit from that savings, because they're gonna have put the infrastructure in place that we're gonna be tapping into. So I wanted to set that forth. The media doesn't talk about that. It's not as fun as rage baiting with the amount of doors in development. But that's important and crucial for the commercial corridor in that particular area. What else did I want to just touch on before I open it up? UEP, there was some questions about UEP, particularly in the Northwest. I think a lot of people are more concerned about North 3. North 3, it's been on the schedule, it's been on the map. A lot of the confusion is around the 2025 number. It turns out that that's when the design is starting. So we're about 50% designed, I think, maybe a little more. The design is supposed to be done, I heard today, in July. And so one of the benefits that we have as part of designing that is Jerry spoke on the medians and how we were gonna handle the opportunity to maybe look at how we do our roadways and broaden the sense of community and the ability to maneuver throughout the community by foot rather than by car. And so those are some great things that the city was able to bring forward to you guys and your membership through the board and get some feedback as far as how we wanted to see that move forward. One of the things that it does do, and we talk about North 6, one that North 6 came before North 3. That's not entirely accurate. North 3, kind of these things work in a vacuum. And so North 3 is independent of North 6 and what's going on with the water shortage in the Mid-Hawthorne Aquifer. But what we did do is we just restructured the schedule for a couple of the other more farther set out UEPs that are gonna allow 6 to jump much sooner in place than it was originally intended. North 3 schedule doesn't change. What it does do, though, for those of us in the northwest, which is north of Kismet, which was originally North 11, slated for about 2045, now that's TBD. So that's going to be, you know, far beyond 2025. So those of you that are up there, whether that's good or bad news, that's where that's headed. Yeah. So as far as UEP is concerned, that's where we'll go with that. And what else did I want to talk about? Just a minute here. The cut. So I'm glad the gentleman before me brought it up. That's been a hot topic issue here in the Northwest, far before I got here, and then it will be far after. First and foremost, there's no official plans now. I get calls just like Ray does, and probably the two guys with the NWNA for once a week at least. And you'll hear, particularly from realtors, that it's coming, it's right around the corner. There's one here, there's one there. There's no official discussions that are taking place, no official plans in place for any cut in the Northwest. With that being said, there's obviously a large demand to have that move forward. I think what Ray's done with the Northwest Voters Alliance is a great thing with regards to hopefully bringing on these new council members that can hopefully allow for a majority that would allow myself and them as well to have some success in bringing this forward, gaining some traction through you guys' support, and hopefully maybe getting something that benefits everyone. I know obviously the environment is of critical concern, and so that's why you've got these stopgaps in place with regards to the DEP and the Army Corps. Although sometimes it seems more problematic than it's worth, I can assure you that there are good reasons for those agencies. And so we're hoping in the future, with the support of a majority of council and you all, to work to find a way to get creative to see if we can open that up in one form or another and have all parties involved leave in amicable terms. So. That's where we're at with that. Again, I wanted to spend a lot of my time just kind of listening to you guys and responding. So if it's all right with you guys, okay, 5 or 6 minutes, but I'll be around for a while. I know this guy. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilmember. Rich Leone. In 2016, the DEP said absolutely not to the cut. We tried to get a cut. Have you talked to the DEP? Has things changed? Is the state, remember that's state land. So and it concerns me, you're talking about bringing a dredger out. You don't even have permission from the state to do it. Have you talked to the state? Is it a possibility? Are they open to the idea?
Well, first of all, I didn't talk about bringing a dredger out.
No, nor did I. I said dredger.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
correct.
thought that's what you said.
No, a barge. That was related to just.
My understanding, just picking up
rocks.
debris. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe it was
Got it.
misunderstood, but
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
there
no,
was
no
a
dredge- no
coordinated
dredging.
effort
No
to
dredging.
get some boats up there at some point by a community-led team to clean up some debris and stuff in that waterway, but certainly I'm not aware of any dredging. To the point of have I spoke to them, have we spoke to them in the city? I think, back to Ray's point, we're in a critical point in time right now with the DEP, in particular with regards to the Chiquita Lock and where we stand with that, and the way that had to work, there's a lot of concessions that were involved on the city side with regards to entitlements and environmental credits, and you know, we had to do a lot of things on our end to basically show that we were making good faith efforts to revitalize other areas of the city, and so we don't want to engage in any of that kind of discussion while that's still an open issue, potentially tamper or spoil those efforts, which finally are coming to fruition. So you'll hear a lot more of that, the answers to your questions around that time frame when we can finally put a seal on Chiquita Lock. Yes, sir.
Does the final call about the density of single family versus multifamily, does that lie with Cape Coral, Lee County, or the state?
The density is in city boundaries. It's filed with the city, so it depends on the zoning primarily. Is where so if someone buys a single family property, the idea is obviously they're entitled for single family, and the same goes with multifamily or a commercial parcel that's zoned neighborhood commercial, where you can build 80% multifamily and 20% commercial. So yeah, I mean, the city council does have discretion with regards to how we zone our properties and the density. We have a land development code that sets a lot of that forth, and a lot of the guidance comes from the state and people far beyond my grasp. But so it's rooted in the powers that be far beyond the city as far as who we rely on to get these figures, but as far as the individual sites, as far as broad sweeping zoning legislation, the city has discretion to utilize that to implement. Yes, sir.
Yes, first of all, thank you for coming tonight.
Sure.
And we appreciate you being here to answer our questions. There was mention earlier about dredging, like from Michelle's out.
Yep.
Can you just bring us up to date on where we're at with that? And listen, a lot of people would like additional access, but right now that's the only access, and there is no water in there.
Yeah.
With low tide.
Yeah, that's a tough spot. So I'm glad you asked that because I had it on my notes, and Jerry asked me a month ago to have it prepared for this evening, and I still almost missed it. So Matt Lachey dredging, the first, it's going to be done in phases. We're planning on going all the way through the canals. A lot of the genesis of this was Hurricane Ian and the hurricanes thereafter that have kind of brought in and reshaped sort of the subsurface there with regards to the depth, and certainly that's a huge issue because even before the hurricanes that was a shallow area. Where we're at with that, the first phase is going to be from the drawbridge to Cerny Vista, and that's supposed to be permitted within the next 2 months, I'm told. And I just heard that today. Yep. So we're going to put out the bids, award the work, and then the dredging is going to take place as far as that. Now, everything north of there, it's going to be done in different quadrants, and they require different permits. Now, again, all of that is with the understanding that permits take time, especially when you're considering the waterway and you're dealing with the Army Corps and the Department of Environmental Protection at Florida level. But that's certainly something that we're very close to putting it on their desk, so to speak, and then we'll work on the lobbying and those sorts of things on our end, hopefully push that through. Go ahead.
When is Burst coming back before council? Is that tomorrow or is that going next to the next
So
town meeting
Burst is
first,
coming,
or-
yep, it'll come back to the cow again.
Okay, so that's what, next week now?
that-
I just
I don't know
want
if it's
to
on
work
the-
on pulling more people together.
Sure.
To.
Yeah, I'll be in touch with you and you guys as well, so you can communicate. I'm not sure what calendar it's on because we had, it's not on the next week's cow, I know that for sure. Tomorrow, it's actually on the agenda, but it's been pulled because it was introduced, so by law, we have to put it on the agenda. But because of the reasons that I stated and the current council not wanting to put it through in its current form, it's been pulled. So we're gonna rework it. I think we sent it to the planning department, and usually those guys need some time, so I would imagine 90 days probably from that point.
We want to start the push.
No,
in your
absolutely, and I'll be in
direction,
touch
so,
with
yeah.
you guys. I mean, that's part of the
You
reason
know
I'm
that
here.
we
is-
know how to make that
Yeah,
happen, so.
yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, how are you? I have a question on that, when you were talking about the burst, and you talked about the multifamilies up north of, people that wanted to pull out.
Yes, ma'am.
It's my understanding that that was done already at a council meeting, they had come to council, and asked to be removed from the burst program for their individual personal property building, And then I was wondering if there was any design change to when the burst, development was first put out.
So the design change primarily remains the same. There was some growing pains with regards to the original overlay in the map. I think there was a couple individual like residential properties that got caught up in that net, so to speak. And I know at some point they had come and expressed their desire to be carved out, and it made sense. I sat with our planners and did that. But what I was referring to is the larger developments that are being held, the 100, 200 acre parcels. Certainly the homeowners that have come and said, hey, you know, this isn't, you know, probably not what you guys intended either, but that's what happens when you do these broad sweeping, it's like 1,500 acre rezonings that sometimes we need to fine tune it, and so we're always open to those, but my primary concern is with the larger tracks and hopefully what we're able to curtail and hopefully promote as far as the uses are on those sites.
I misunderstood what you said.
That's okay, I speak fast and get misunderstood pretty often. Gentleman in orange back there.
E3 has been kind of kicked down the road about 3 times now. Do we expect that to continue to happen? And does UEP3 delay 7 Islands project?
So a two-part question, for those in the front that might not have been able to hear me. UEP3 has been delayed a couple different times now. Do I expect that to continue to happen? As with most things in the government, yes. You know, do I hope that it's not? No. Will I do everything in my power to prevent that from happening? Yeah. But the closer you get into the design, and now that we're designed at the percentage we are, the numbers become a little bit more to focus. So when you look at these maps, and some of them, like I said, 2045 and all that, I don't know why they do that. That wouldn't be something I would encourage to do, because there's no way the city doesn't even know what it's going to do next week, so I don't know how they expect to know what they're going to do in 2045. But the powers that be, again. So I truly believe that we're gonna be in construction in 2027. A lot of people have been asking as far as planning and budgeting, certainly. And we don't have any idea what the budget is, but you know, when can we expect us to hit the tax rolls? They do not hit the tax rolls, although some believe that they did when it's completed. They actually hit the tax rolls prior to its completion. So for example, some areas in North One are gonna be getting those here this year, even though the project isn't complete. So as far as that is concerned, when you might be able to see the assessments start coming online on the tax rolls, late 27, 28, I think is pretty close to when you can see this, barring anything crazy. Now, we're dealing with a water crisis in the northeastern quadrant of our district, in the Midwest Aquifer, where North One is at, and Southport Water Management District has been breathing down our neck pretty strongly with regards to how we're gonna facilitate that and shuffle the deck, so to speak, to address those needs. But to my point earlier, at least as far as North 3 is concerned, I don't see that being an issue. And again, I can't speak for 7 Islands, but I don't anticipate that being an issue, particularly because in that area, UEP is already more or less complete. Yes, sir.
Hi, again, appreciate you coming here tonight to
Certainly.
talk to us, and certainly appreciate your advocacy for the type of development you've been discussing in the Burst area. Something I saw recently, and I don't know if it's part of that zoning change, or if you could speak to it, is a proposal to put an airport just north of Kismet.
Oh, the airport. So that's one of my favorites. So the airport, you know, the news is going to do what the news does, and you know, that's business, I guess. Love it or hate it, but their job is to get you guys riled up, right? And so we had a gentleman come, a consultant come before us, just like any other consultant that we brought forward, and we kind of told him, hey, this is what we need. We're looking for ways to kickstart environmental or economic development in our region, and you know, we don't know what we don't know, and you're supposedly the guru. Give us all you got. And so he gave us a ton of stuff. Now, naturally, the most sensational thing was the airport. That's going to get the most reactions, and that's how the media makes their money. And so here we are today. But I can certainly tell you, as far as I'm concerned, that's not a feasible option. While I respect the fact that he brought it forward, there was far better ideas on that plate. And that's a funny one, because the part of the 300 acres the 300 acres is city-owned property. And that also is subject to the burst that I'm talking about here tonight. And a lot of the times when I'm in this job, especially, you get the people that, well, what, would you want that in your backyard? And that literally is in my backyard. So I always love that opportunity to tell them, actually, yeah, that is in my backyard. But no, the airport is not, certainly as far as, and again, I only speak one of 8, something that is not going to gain any traction as far as I'm concerned.
Where are they at?
Oh, okay, one more, I guess.
Where are they
And
at?
I'll stick around after for anybody that wants to chat.
Where are they at with the permitting on Seven Islands?
The permitting on Seven Islands, we are working, we meet with them at least a couple times a month. It's an evolving process. There's a lot of moving parts. We're currently trying to hammer down the development agreement with these guys as far as the fine tune, the last minute things. Permitting, I know that they are trying to nail everything down so that when it's ready to go and we do get that button up, that we can get it submitted. But right now I couldn't say with any certainty where specifically we are with that. I know when we met at the wonderful dinner that we had early last year, they had presented that they were hoping to get shovels in the ground this year. The tail end of this year, maybe. I don't know whether that's feasible, but if that gives you an idea. And then I guess I'm
The library kicks us out.
oh, okay. Well, you can find me parking lot.
Thank you, Keith. Thanks for coming out, taking the questions. Keith's going to stick around. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We meant to have a member meeting earlier in the year. The library got flooded and we got kicked out. So the goal is to have at least 2 more meetings like this and then end our year like we did last year with a social, with a little bit of fun at the end of the year. So please come out. We'll obviously be sending out bulletins. Check out nwcape.com and our YouTube channel for any of the updates. You know, it's a great organization. It's a strong organization. We have over 1,000 households and 2,100 members now. We see a lot of new homes coming in the Northwest, so go knock on the neighbor's door if you find these valuable. It's $15 for life. So step out and ask somebody else if they would want to join and continue to grow an organization. So once again, thank you so much for coming out and taking the time out of your days to listen.